you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
The enmity between Queen Alicent and Princess Rhaenyra was passed on to their sons, and the Queen's three boys, the princes Aegon, Aemon, and Daeron, grew to be bitter rivals of the Valyrian nephews, resentful of them for having stolen what they regarded as their birthright, the Iron Throne itself. Though all six boys attended the same feasts, balls, and revels, and sometimes trained together in the yard under the same master at arms and studied under the same maesters, this enforced closeness only served to feed their mutual mislike rather than binding them together as brothers.
Welcome back to the Throne of the Dragon podcast, the show that covers each and every episode of HBO's House of the Dragon. And in the off season, which is almost over, 1 week away from being over, we cover every chapter of Fire and Blood. I'm Josh, and with me as always is Curtis. Curtis, how you doing, buddy? We got 7 days. 7 days.
Doing good. Doing great. 7 days. The countdown is on,
my friend.
Yes.
Until episode 1 of season 2 of House of the Dragon. We're back. We're back.
We're back, baby. You thought we were gonna go away? Thought you were done with us? Thought you were gonna get rid of us? No chance.
Just getting started.
Just getting started, man.
Have you finished your second rewatch yet?
No, not yet. I'm working on it. What about you?
I've got the first one done, and I'm going to try to run through some of what I would deem more key episodes probably this week, but I do want to try to watch the final episode probably Saturday night.
Yeah.
So
get ready.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Getting hype.
Yes.
How far do you think we're gonna go the first episode?
I mean, I don't really know what all is gonna happen, so
I'm saying right now, as vaguely as possible, they're gonna end it on big cliffhanger as something super brutal is about to happen.
Episode 1 or the season?
Episode 1.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Just episode 1.
Gotcha.
I don't think anything too intense will happen in episode 1, but I think it will leave you to be like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
It's not going to be the end of that episode where it just right after Joffrey Lonmouth dies and the sad wedding and Kristen Cole about to kill himself. That just leaves it all very dark.
Right.
Not very like, oh, what's going to happen? It's like, oh no, it did happen already.
Oops, it's happened. Where do we go from here? Oh my God, what's going to happen now? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think big cliffhanger episode 1, and then we'll start getting messy episode 2.
Let's get messy, man. You want to get messy?
I'm ready to get messy.
Let's get some blood, man. Oh, no.
What?
That was a little too messy.
A little too messy?
He's coughing up blood now.
Do we have any other new business? I mean, I know this is about to take our focus kind of for the next several weeks here, so
No, I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. Just buckle up. Did you Did you buy your bus ticket yet?
My bus ticket.
Your bus ticket, yes, yeah. If you recall from the last episode, I said June the 16th, right? 16th, 9 p.m. The bus leaves.
Oh,
You're either on that bus or not. We're not going back. We're not waiting around. 9:01. Nope, we're gone, buddy. You better have your ticket and get your butt in a seat by 9 o'clock. Yeah.
yes, I have my ticket for said ride.
Yes. Okay, good. Good. Yes. No, I don't think there's anything else, buddy. Just like you said,
Okay.
we're going to be fully focused on this for the next couple of months. So hopefully this will kill the dog days of summer for us. But
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited for the I always loved when Game of Thrones was running because I watched it season 2 through the end all live.
from the premiere, yeah.
So that being like Sunday nights, like every
I
Sunday
remember you
night for
saying,
a
yeah, that was a
massive
big deal
chunk
for
of my
you.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd always have a bunch of people over. And then
Oof.
even later on, it's like, you just rush home from work or whatever. You gotta get in there to
So
see it.
when did you start reading the books though?
Not until probably season 3 or 4.
Okay. Okay. So how did you feel watching the premieres of like the last couple of seasons? Were you
That
still
was
like
pretty.
into it or did it start kind of like
I mean, it's pretty rough. I feel like a lot of it makes sense because, um, so the story starts with Bran. You could argue in a lot of ways that it's all kind of about Bran, and if he becomes a three-eyed raven, then yeah, I could see that, and yeah, I could see Bran being king in the end.
right.
But there's just a lot of storylines that aren't tied up in the book yet, and they are tied up in the show. And for some of, like, I don't know, for some people, it seems like it's completely impossible that it could end up that way for them. So I know a lot of liberties were taken and they didn't have everything that, I know he gave them a few small things, but so.
Well, and even like we can talk about it because I mean, well, we're going to talk about it here on this episode of like the couple of chapters that we've read compared to what season one brought us. I mean, there's some differences. There's some things that the show decided, well, we're kind of do it differently. And I think it kind of works out in a way with the show, with the way they did it. But I also respect what George R. R. Martin did in his book, and I think that worked too, you know. So,
Yeah. And some of them are smaller changes.
right.
Some of them I feel like don't really matter as much, but then there's a lot bigger ones where you're like, oh, okay, well, that just paints somebody as a horrible villain and they had nothing to do with that.
Right. Yep.
Um, well, all
Are
right.
you talking about the Rhaenyra and Laenor? Laenor's death? Is that what you're talking about there? Is that what you're mentioning?
I'm more talking about Rhea Royce's death.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
because
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that one because that's totally different. Because in the book, he's nowhere near the veil at
yeah.
that time. Yeah.
And then he also has no right to her inheritance.
Yeah.
And he has like, I don't know, when he goes to petition, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna see if I can, like,
Yeah.
but in the books, he almost feels more sure about the whole thing. Like, no, this is like a done deal.
Yeah. I know in the books, and I was trying to remember, of course, I haven't gotten to that episode yet. But I know in the books that when they're doing the council towards, the end of this last chapter that we just read, he does make mention of, the veil will side with us because of my marriage and everything like that. Um, but I was trying to remember if he said that in the show, and I was thinking to myself, surely he didn't say that in the show though, because that's kind of like, why the hell would they, bro? they think you murdered her and tried to steal her inheritance.
Right.
So it was like, I don't know if he said that in the show, but he may have actually. And it's one of those where it's like, no, you're wrong. They'll forgive me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. No, no, I'll have to see that episode this week, see what it says. But anyway,
Um, before we get too far into it, um, these two chapters, kind of like you were saying, this is the whole of season one, except for
yeah,
like the very beginning of the next chapter with what happens at Storm's End. Um, and I think we all know the story by now, Curtis. It's a family in a realm torn apart by greed and a sworn duty to uphold the vows that were taken. Brother's gonna fight sister, lover's gonna kill lover, and dragon will slay dragon. A wise man once said, "It is always the ordinary men who suffer when the high lords play their game of thrones." Don't worry, Curtis. There's gonna be plenty of suffering to go around. Um, Season one left us with the death of Jace and need for revenge, but how far will the Black faction be willing to go for not only what they consider justice, but the Iron Throne? We'll find out next week, but for today, let's focus on these two chapters that are covered in the first season of House of the Dragon, and mainly just covering some key differences between book and show, and also just a few things that I kind of thought were interesting or cool. So, yeah, this is just our, we're not really doing a recap episode, like a
right,
recap of
yeah,
season one. So, I think this is more just our get caught up with, because, like I said, this runs right up through, I guess, probably like last episode ish of
right.
season one. So,
Yeah, basically, besides, we didn't get to, in the book, you don't get to what happens on Storm's End.
right.
So, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
What what was your favorite big difference
My
between book and show?
favorite big difference.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
if I
the one you
had a,
found the most interesting,
well, so the one that
or the one that
always,
stands out the most to you?
the one that I think about the most these last couple of weeks is, and it's not even really like here's a situation in the book and then compare it with, not like that. It's just like the fact in the show that they never mention, like Viserys or Daemon never mention their dad. They don't even say dad or father or whatever. They don't mention Balon. They don't mention, you know,
Viserys does mention Balon
does it win?
whenever he's dismissing Otto Hightower the first time,
Okay.
because
What
he
does he say?
mentions how when Otto became his hand, he went from being super healthy and really strong to all of a sudden sick. It's when
Balon
he's, yeah,
Or Jaehaerys?
Balon.
Okay. Hmm.
Or he might not have been hand then, I can't remember, but he was like around. But Otto points it out.
How about no?
Or
I
not
don't.
Otto,
Well, no, no, no,
Viserys
no.
points it out.
I don't. In the book, I don't think Otto was. I think Otto was after. Otto was after Balon. Now you can
See,
still
in the
kind of like,
show, yeah, but in the show, Viserys makes it sound more like he
he
was
was. Yeah,
like in there.
yeah. Which I.
So I don't know. I'll have to look and see, but that should be easy to find because it's the end of that episode when he's dismissing him.
But even like in mentioning, or like in the times that they talk about Rhaenys and her getting passed over, Because obviously they make that's a big difference too from the book and the show is the show makes it look like she's in line to become queen, whereas the book says it basically passes over her because of her sex, and so they go for Laenor, who's older than what he seems to be in the show at that time. I don't know. Some of the ages of the kids seemed a little different too from book and
Well,
show in the
yeah, and
timeline.
Lena is supposed to be older than Laenor,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot
but
about
that
that
was
too.
reversed like pretty dramatically, it felt like.
Right. But anyway, in the book there's a whole lot of times where they're talking about it is Aemon, right? That's his name. Aemon, not Amend, Aemon with just an N. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think through some
Jaehaerys's
things.
oldest.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember if it was with a D or not. But anyway, and all the times that they keep talking about, the queen that never was, queen that never was, like they never even like mention his name when they start talking about that stuff because of he's the firstborn child of Jaehaerys, and so like her or even Corlys saying, it should be her because um her dad was the firstborn. Da, 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 da. It's just weird to me that like they almost just kind of act like these people just don't exist, and I almost would like for you to name drop those guys because it brings me into the story, like, well, who are these guys? I want to learn more about them. But
Who doesn't exist?
their dads, Balon and Aemon.
Oh, Jaehaerys?
Yeah, his kids. So I'm talking about Viserys's dad, Viserys and Daemon's dad,
Uh-huh.
and
Balon.
Rhaenys. Yeah, and then Rhaenys' dad, Aemon. It's like they
Uh-huh.
never. Well, besides the time that now you're saying that Viserys mentions Balon, they never really mention them at all.
In the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's what
other
I'm
than
saying.
that
It's just
one
like,
time,
yeah,
dude, and I remember it because it stood out to me. Because like, yeah, you like never heard them mentioned at all, really.
yeah. Which is just so weird
Maybe
because, like, if you think about it, they're
did it,
really their story is the reason why we're in this situation in the first place because of their deaths.
yeah. Did it say anything in the very first episode, like when they were talking about the Great Council stuff?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I
Now,
couldn't
it
remember.
the only thing it says that kind of alludes to it is, I think it does mention grandchildren, as in Viserys and Rhaenys, but that's it. Doesn't say his kid's name. It may say like his sons died, but I mean, they do not mention any names or anything. Now, I can see where you may be like, well, it's the first scene. I don't want to throw too many names out there and confuse people. I get that, but just for like the
Yeah,
rest of the show now, like to give me some type of like little historical, references there in the
right.
family. I don't know. It's just crazy, man. But and especially to like now go back and read Jaehaerys's family in terms of like all his kids and all the troubles that they went through and the deaths, left and right and such. It just adds so much depth. Um, whereas just like in the show, when I first watched it, it was just, okay, here's this guy, he's got to make a decision. That's really it. Kind of like, okay. I mean, there's no real depth there, but I mean, I understand that he's not super important for the rest of the thing, I guess. But I don't know. But then the other thing too is now reading, the last couple of chapters where he talks about his kids. It's interesting to think, okay, there's still at this time, there's still what three, possibly three still alive. Um, is it Vagon? He's at the Citadel.
Yep.
Um, is it
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah across the sea, but what's the other one? Miguel, possibly still alive.
Wasn't Miguel the Septa?
Yeah.
No, she got grayscale.
Did she?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you're just thinking about then just two then that would be alive, possibly.
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. But
Yeah, out of all those kids, dude.
yeah, yeah.
One of the biggest ones for me in this chapter is Joffrey Lonmouth's death. The Night of the Kisses.
Mhm.
Because
It's attorney instead of what we got
yeah,
in the
it's
show.
it's a
Yeah,
much more, and that answers it for me because in the show I was always like, man, why do they just let this fly? Like that's crazy. You just
yeah.
smash that dude's face in.
Hamburger
Uh,
meat.
yeah.
Oh,
And then also the fact that Harold Westerling is already like dead and gone, and Kristen Cole is Lord Commander of the Kingsguard,
yeah.
like
It's like
before the first chapter is
what?
even over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
But
old
they
time jump, man.
I wonder why they chose to play up like an actual, like they're actually being something between Rhaenyra and Kristen Cole.
Which I'm
Because
sorry, say it one more time. Sorry, I was reading something.
why the show chose to um have some stuff go on between Rhaenyra and Kristen Cole, because in the book he completely rejects her advances,
Right, yeah,
and in the show they made him like, after it happened, they it was like he was trying to get her to run away with him, you know.
right. Yeah, change of heart
So
and
yeah,
penis.
I don't I don't know. Um yeah, I mean maybe just for that like romance element of it, but yeah, it doesn't seem like he kind of turns on her because of her like making those advances, not because he wanted her to run away with him, you know.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of interesting how they in the book how they went about that. Whereas, yeah, like you said with the show. The other thing that
Well, and
kind
I
of
guess
stood
they
out,
basically turn it to, in the show it
jealousy.
was her being rejected by Damon and then going to Kristen Cole,
Right.
and in the book it's her being rejected by Kristen Cole and going to Harwin
Damon.
Strong.
Yeah, our
So
Harlan Strong, yeah. Break bones. Um, would you have liked to see more stepstones in the show?
I don't know.
Or was it too much in the book?
I think we got like enough in both, like because it doesn't go through like everyday accounts of what
Well,
was going
yeah,
on there.
no.
It tells you when the triarchy stuff is happening, and that's like super quick,
Mm,
and then it tells you about like the Dorne alliance, um, and then, but that one it just kind of like talks about for a second and then it's gone. And then
right.
later on, they're like, oh, yeah. And Damon went back to the Stepstones to go back to war. Oh, moving on.
Well, moving on now.
There was definitely a lot of focus on it in the show, but I get why.
Right.
Like, it's definitely cool. You get to see like how, like, how House Valerian deals with their naval stuff. You get to see the dragons. So there's a lot of cool stuff with it. You got to see Damon with Dark Sister, that epic run he has when they create the diversion. And then it's kind of a cool look into like that kind of warfare. Like whenever you're attacking someone who's entrenched like that, and your ultimate weapon, these dragons, basically have no effect because they can just go down into the caves and the
Right,
tunnels.
exactly. Yeah. Just kind of hide
So,
out.
yeah, it was definitely interesting, but I don't know that I would have wanted to see a lot more of that.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of, I mean, I think that they did a good job in the show of like using it for the story that they were trying to tell with Damon, of like he's trying to find him some purpose basically, you know.
Yeah.
And so my sword is thirsty. It needs blood. Okay, I'm not trying to like run through these, but I start to think of other ones. Two that came to mind. One, let's talk about Viserys real quick. Mainly his features.
His dad
Um,
bod.
his dad bod. Yeah, it's almost like, not that well, he go in the show, he gets skinny basically and frail
Yeah.
and hunchback. Whereas in the book, it's the opposite, where it's like
He's
he
fat
gets
party boy.
fat. Yeah, he's turning Mac mode. He's
Yeah.
harvesting and he's not cultivating. Well, stop harvesting and start cultivating, man.
No, I think it's that he's cultivating and he's not harvesting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 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 dude. Stop cultivating and start harvesting. Yeah, there you go. My bad. Um, yeah, and then even like the ailments that he has towards the end of his life is like, it never mentions anything about, all these open sores and wounds and
It just comes
pus
from
and
that cut on the throne.
yeah, that's the only thing that he has. Just like he loses digits, that's it. Whereas everything else
Well, he
he
gets like
has
a
is just
fever
like,
after
I've got
that and
a heart
stuff.
attack.
And
Yeah, but he dies more of like heart attack and chest pains and such.
yeah,
Whereas in the show, it's like, yeah, he's just wilting away basically, man.
he's like slowly turning into Gollum.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, that is weird that they chose to go that route. I mean, there is a lot of symbolism in that. Um, but
Well, we talked about, I remember when we were watching season one and that happened, you made mention about the thought of basically the throne cutting him the first time is kind of like an omen of like the throne rejecting you. Like you're not the one who was supposed to be sitting upon it, you know?
yeah,
And so it's just kind of like, okay, it just kind of gets worse and worse where you get like you're getting more cuts and yeah, I don't know. And then I think too at the same time, it was probably his condition was probably aided by some people, you know what I mean, to get worse. And it talks about that in the book of when they have to get a new maester towards the end of his life. And, both the girls are kind of vying of like, well, you need to use my maester. No, you need to use my maester because he saved your digits, or he saved your whole arm by cutting off those digits. So it's like, well, no, your maester basically mutilated him, blah blah blah, and it's kind of a back and forth like that. But I lost my train of thought. Yeah.
where am I?
Where ugh, is that sword?
Yeah, I mean, you were just saying you got this, they were saying that it's possible he got helped along,
Yeah.
but who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, I don't know that Allison and their faction would have wanted to go that route. I mean, that doesn't necessarily help their cause at all, him being dead. Because him being alive, he could always like change it. But him being dead,
Yeah.
now they have to do all this sneaky, underhanded shit. Because the way they take this is just so bad, dude. Like, it's if they wanted to do this the honorable way, and they wanted to, as they said, follow the precedent laid down by Jaehaerys, they would need to have a great council
Yeah.
or something similar and put it out there in the open and do it that way. But they go about it they just close the door to Viserys' chamber after he's dead,
Oh,
and they
days
start trying to
upon
figure out,
days, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got to get word out to our allies. We got to make a move quick for the throne. They do exactly what Renly tries to get Ned Stark to do in Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
And we see how effective it is, you know. I mean, I've always said that, and I think everybody else, this is not my sole opinion, that yeah, Ned probably should have like gotten with Renly there. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to like kill Tommen and
Yeah.
Marcella or even Joffrey. Like you just got to take them prisoner until we get this whole thing sorted out here. Like let's
Right.
all
Yeah.
just take a breather. Because you don't do that, and the next thing you know, everybody's stabbing each other in a throne room.
You getting your head chopped off, and it's great, man. It's great. There's
Yeah.
wars and rumors of wars, and yeah. So, um, yeah, dude, they do not paint Allison as an innocent person like the show kind of does. Yeah, that soft kind of
No,
like,
they, especially
it's
before the
totally
time
different,
jump.
dude.
Yeah, before the time jump, they play her like Otto is really manipulating her and pushing her into this relationship with Viserys to advance them. But in the book, it just kind of, it's just like, oh yeah, the High Towers were there. They were pretty close with them.
Also,
She used to
she was
read
already
to
hanging out with the king.
Jaehaerys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, which that's another thing they never mentioned that. So it's like obviously they took a different route there too.
right.
So
And well, again, she might mention that in the episode where his first couple, where she goes to visit Viserys and he's working
I
on
don't,
his.
yeah, I don't remember her saying anything though. I just saw that one not so long ago. I don't remember her mentioning anything.
No, I want to say there
Yeah.
was a time that she says something about like reading to him or something. Maybe not.
Did she
It
just
almost
read?
it almost wouldn't make
Hmm.
sense for the show version because she would have been too young.
Yeah.
So, and then that's another thing too is in the show, her and Rhaenyra are supposed to be about the same age,
Yeah.
but in the
Different
book,
age. Yeah.
Alicent's 9 years older than her.
Hmm.
So,
You think she did more than just read to King Jaehaerys?
no,
You think she was banging the old king? A
no,
banging
I
a bang
don't.
bang. Oh, you don't think
Um,
so? Oh, okay.
no, because we were
You
talking
don't
about
believe mushroom?
before the
Come on, man,
first
it's a
time
mushroom.
the first time Jaehaerys and Alysanne were separated. Um, he was still doing the royal
Yeah.
progressions, and there were at least a couple of times they mentioned like, you know, somebody like either trying to get their daughter to talk to him or something like that, and he always rejected them. So I don't know. Jaehaerys is one of those guys that I feel like he's pretty honorable.
Yeah.
Like
I
there
don't know.
are
Towards the end there though, dude, he was kind of losing his mind.
losing his mind. I mean, he just didn't recognize some people. I think
Yeah,
he's probably still.
maybe he thought, maybe at one point he thought Allison was Alicane. He's like, "Come here, baby."
Oh my God. Maybe, but
Yeah.
I
No,
don't think so.
yeah. What do you think about not having a mushroom in the show?
I think that would be a little ridiculous. I don't know if you could. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, never at one point was I like, man, we are missing out on a good character here. I was just like, yeah, I can understand why you didn't put him in there.
I'm always all of these court fools. I always put some crazy like picture to in my head.
Yeah.
Like the one for Shireen's uh the one for Stannis. He hangs out with Shireen all the time. Moon Boy. He Yeah, he freaks me out. Like the image that my mind puts to him, I'm just like, oh my God. Like after everything you
Hmm.
hear about him and seeing like a couple of different like artist renderings, just like, oh my God.
Oh boy. They didn't portray him in the show though, right?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, and he gives a bunch of like prophecy stuff throughout the books. So he's like a lot more important in the books.
Ugh. Yep.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway, what else?
One of the things I thought was really cool was, and I could see why they were talking about doing a show for it. I think we still might get that, but was the voyages of Corlys Velaryon.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're already developing it.
Are they?
I thought.
Was it going to be animated or
Yes. Yeah.
okay? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it'd just be cool to see a lot of those places because, you get some stuff in the World Book about some different regions that are never shown or really talked about um, in the show or the books. But yeah, it'll be cool to see some of those places that, yeah, we just don't really have any frame of reference for, really.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the
Yeah.
whole
It's.
seafaring thing? I mean, I think it'll honestly, it might be more interesting as an animated
Yeah. I
series.
think it'll work as an animated series. To be honest with you.
It would almost just be like a more Game of Thronesy Black Sails or something um if they did a live action.
Well, apparently they were gonna. They started out as live action, but then they decided to switch it to animated. I think
Hmm.
that's a better. I think with something like that, it would probably be easier, or it'd probably be a lot harder trying to film a bunch of sailing. It's
Right.
like, okay, yeah, let's make this easier on ourselves, especially with if you got like other shows like Night of Seven Kingdoms and Dunkin' and Eggs, stuff like that going on too. It's like, okay, let's try something different with this one.
Yeah.
So I think it'll work out for sure. Question is, will he be black?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I imagine they make them darker skinned. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I don't know if they'll be black, but um
black,
I
black.
think my biggest question um about some book to show stuff right now is they never announced an actor for Darren Targaryen.
I was gonna ask you, did they even mention his name in season one? I don't remember. If they
No,
did, it had to be really quick.
I don't think so.
Okay, because that's the other thing too is are they gonna go are they gonna go with the story that goes in the book where it's like he's not even there because he's in Old Town, being a cupbearer for Lord Hightower, or is he just not even born yet? Or well, I guess he would have to be already born. Yeah, I don't know.
No, he's definitely born. I think if they bring him in, it will be he was at Old Town and then
Yeah.
now he's back.
Now he's back.
Yeah, but I don't know. I am still skeptical that he'll even be in it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
here's another one for you. What about and maybe I'm just missing it. What about the third son of Rhaenyra?
Joffrey,
Yeah.
we haven't seen him since yeah, I don't know if we've seen him since the time jump because
Would he
you
be
see,
the
you
wait,
see
oh
him
wait.
as a baby.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So he would be the one that was born. in the at the first time jump. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
see all of Rhaenyra's kids,
Yeah. Okay.
because even when she comes
Yeah,
back
I
and she
yeah,
presents,
I knew we got Aegon and Viserys.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I knew we got that, but okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, Daron has his role, so it's like, I mean, I guess you could get away with. I'm sure they could make it work, like
Well,
writing around
you're the
him,
one, okay, yeah, but you're the one who
but
knows the book. You've already read it. Does he become a key piece in this?
I mean, there's
He
stuff
has his part,
he's
right?
yeah, there's stuff
Okay.
he's involved in without talking about like a specific event.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, but yeah, I guess they could get around it, but I don't know. I'm skeptical right now if he will be in the show.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do
I mean, and
with
that's
that.
one more dragon that they have to render, like
Yeah. Who's his dragon?
Caesarion.
Okay.
Blue. It's supposed
Um,
to be blue, I believe.
Speaking of children, real quick, obviously this doesn't matter as much as like the ones that we're talking about just a second ago. But did you notice too that Lord Strong had two daughters? Never mentioned those daughters. They just
Yeah,
made it
they
sound like he's
never
got two sons
mention
and that's
them,
it.
but I kind of imagine they're in that group when Laris Strong like sidles up in there with all the ladies of the
Okay.
court. I kind of
Okay.
imagine they're a part of that.
Yeah.
In the book, they're at least one of them become Rhaenyra's handmaid, right?
Yeah. Well, both of them accompany her somewhere, maybe to Driftmark for the marriage. I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But they do mention him like close to her at one point. But yeah.
Yeah. Um. Oh, you had down.
Milk Bros?
Oh, definitely not. Um. No, you had down.
No, I definitely had that down.
No, you definitely
But
had that down too. But uh, about Viserys never flying again.
yeah,
Um,
what do you think? Do you
after
think it was
Balerion.
just like let's talk book wise.
Hmm.
Forget the show right now because let's talk book wise. Obviously, he gets fatter, he gets lazier, he can't do as much. Do you think it's because of something like that, where it's just like, I don't really have the strength to crawl up on a dragon anymore? Do you think it was just like he was just so tied to Balerion that it just like kind of hurt him that he died and he's just like I can never love another dragon again, or
No,
what?
but I do assume that when it comes to dragon riding, that sometimes if a rider loses their dragon, they either don't take another one or I mean, I can't think of any instances we've ever been given where somebody lost a dragon and claimed another,
Okay.
unless I'm missing something. But as far as I can remember, I don't remember anything where somebody, their dragon died or and then they claimed another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would imagine like something about that bond. Maybe you're not able to, maybe there's no desire to. You got to remember too that first of all, it was Balerion. So Viserys didn't have the egg in the cradle.
Right.
He didn't have a dragon that he had grown up with and bonded with. So that's a big factor, I feel like. But then also, this is all during this ridiculously long time of peace. Um, I don't even want to say that like the conflicts in Tarth or the Stepstones, like none of that is really like going to war. So these are just small skirmishes in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
The last real war was probably, I guess, the conquest.
Magor or Conquest? Okay. I
Yeah,
was
I
gonna
don't
say
even.
Magor time,
Okay,
maybe.
yeah, Magor against Aegon.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you really want to call that a war.
because
I mean, it
that's
ended
yeah. I
pretty
mean, that's
quickly, but
involving like the whole realm,
yeah, true.
or maybe yeah. I think that's
But
probably
after that, then yeah, it would be Conquest. But yeah. So you just feel
so.
like maybe you just kind of felt like there's not really a need for me to have a dragon because where's the threat?
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily want to say that like yeah, that's a definitive reason why. But I'll ask you the questions like Jaehaerys, he had a claim to secure. Um, I don't know. It almost feels like you would be more concerned with that if it were necessary for you to have. But I don't know. They're not at war with anyone. There are dragon riders still in their family.
Hmm.
Um, Daemon was a dragon rider. So I don't know. I,
Rhaenys
I
was a
just
dragon
don't,
rider.
yeah, Laenor. So I don't know. You're
Laenor,
surrounded with this. Like
Laena.
the realm has the weapons. It's not
Yeah,
necessary for you to be the one to pull the trigger.
yeah.
So yeah, and then I just go back to that bond, like maybe when your dragon dies, like that's just kind of it for you. But a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to like dragon bonding.
This doesn't have to do with the comparisons between show and book, but how about the balls on the set of balls on the hedge knight who comes claiming to be Jaehaerys's son?
Right. And then I take you back to
Yeah,
him
man.
always kind of pushing different women away, even while
Yeah.
him and Alysanne were separated. Yeah, and that guy was like taken off to the dungeons immediately. They're like,
Well, that's what I was like,
are
because
you
like after
kidding
some
me?"
questioning, he's like, "All right, if you really know me, what's my favorite color? Red. No, wait, no, no, no,
Yeah.
crap."
So yeah, but I
Yeah,
love that. They're
I,
just
I don't
like,
know. For some reason, I
are you
laugh at
kidding
that
me
one. I
with
don't know
this?
why. Right? Like, like, how do you think this was gonna end, bro? Like, seriously, you know?
Let's say you're Jaehaerys, Curtis. How do you handle this? Heir and a spare, both gone. Do you go with the sons of your do you go with the son of your firstborn child? Do you go with the daughter of your firstborn child? Do you go with the firstborn son of your second child? And I mean, there's different reasons
This
to
is
weigh
this is a
out.
loaded question. I can't answer, bro, because I'm either gonna be labeled a sexist or I'm not answering that.
Well, I mean, do you go with what's always been done, or do you go straight firstborn?
Right.
Um, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, and like we see happen.
Well,
Um,
honestly, you could the seed was planted of now we're at this point where it's like I have to decide where it's like I either go with my firstborn's kids or I go with my secondborn kids, and secondborn kids are all male, whereas the firstborn is like that's a daughter, and it's like I don't know if I really make somebody queen of the Iron Throne. Whereas if you go back to when him and Alysanne first had their kids, Daenerys, where it's like he's saying, Aemon, you're gonna sit this Iron Throne one day. You're gonna be king of the realm. And she was like, well, what about Daenerys? She's their firstborn. She should be queen of the realm, or whatever. So it's like, foreshadowing, foreshadowing, foreshadowing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think the right thing to do is probably that it's just for it goes by firstborn, because that's then you establish a precedent there. It's non-biased, it's non-sexist. Like you just go with the firstborn of that royal family.
Right. But do you risk the possibility of undoing all those years of peace that you've been cultivating, you know, by making a decision like that might honestly split the realm, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I mean,
think about
the
it in the
threat
end when
of
it's like
dragons,
when they did the Great Council, remember what was it? The votes were basically 20-1 in favor of Viserys, So
yeah,
obviously he had the support basically because he was a dude,
for
So it's
sure.
like
But
if you just like
there
went
were
out
a
and was
lot of
like,
people
no,
that
we're going
sided
with
with
Rainey's,
Rhaenys, though.
True, but 20-1, that's some big odds, bro.
Yeah,
That's a big ratio. But
but they have the Targaryens to enforce their rule have the threat of dragons, and the threat of
right,
dragons is what won the conquest.
right,
So whatever they decide, they've already decided on this Targaryen exceptionalism,
right,
Like why not another part of that exceptionalism is that women can rule.
right.
And then I think you just keep from that being an issue because if you make it immediately so that just like, oh, it always has to be a man, well, then it's like, then the women of that house, even those that like should take precedent because they're the older ones, are always going to be like in a subservient type role.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I just feel like that because you'll always have this. Like you'll always have one branch of the family thinking they should be the ones to inherit. And that's always going to cause problems. So I feel like
mhm,
just a straight rule that doesn't favor anyone, it's just the firstborn, no matter what. I feel like that keeps your hands clean. Like that keeps
yeah,
this in line. Everybody knows what the order of things is, like how that works. There's no question. So,
right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then, but when to establish that, is that something Aegon might have established had they had a
A
daughter
girl, yeah,
first,
yeah.
Um, which, wise as he was, probably, right? Like,
Yeah.
I could
Well, and
I
then
could
on
see him
even
like looking to the future of being like Ned Stark in that scene with Arya training where he's just hearing all the swords clanging together and the screams of war.
right. I mean, even go back to I'm trying to pull up my family tree here real quick. I can, maybe not. Going to good night, nurse. Okay, let's see here. You got Aegon, Lena. What the heck? Who are these people? I don't know you people. Oh, I don't even know. Oh, okay, that's way back there. That's way back. Okay, now we're at the okay, Annie's kids, Annie and Alyssa's kids. Um, Raina's the firstborn of Annie's and Alyssa. So it's kind of like, okay, should she? I think at a certain point, wasn't it mentioned that she said something about, Jairus, I'm the firstborn. It should have been me on the throne anyway. So even like back then, it's like the realm kind of, picked him because obviously Aegon the Uncrowned was dead by then. So it's like he's the next male heir. But I don't know, man. Oh, you're on mute. I was supposed to say, why am I not hearing
Oh,
anything?
sorry. And when it talks about that in the book, it even mentions that there were a lot of people who said that Rhaena should have been the one to inherit, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, that's what I was saying.
there
Yeah.
is like a group of these lords who is like, why are we not just going off of the firstborn, you know?
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think that keeps your hands a lot cleaner in the long run. Because this is always going to be a problem. Like two brothers, yeah, they might not fight each other for the succession. I mean, you even go back to um Maegor and Aenys. Like Maegor, a lot like Daemon, respects how these things work, you know,
Right.
like how this rule of succession goes. So I really liked the part where were talking about this is before the Great Council when they were talking about who should get it, and they were talking about how Daemon had already massed like a group of lords loyal to him that would back Viserys. So like everybody's already like forming armies. All these deals are being done behind closed doors to get ready for what's about to happen.
Oh, okay.
You have a puzzled look on your face.
Sorry, I am getting really deep into this family tree here because it's a lot better than the one I've usually been looking at. So there's a lot more
Are you going
yarn going
back or
all over the
forward?
place. No, I'm for going forward, not backwards. Well, although it does have this one is the first one I've seen that has before Aegon the Conqueror, which is
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
cool. So, but
Does it go back to like the first Lords of
the first
Dragonstone?
first name is Aenar the Exile.
Yeah.
That's the first name.
Yeah, that
And
was the
then
first that
Gaiman
was the one
and
who left.
yeah, Gaiman and Daenerys. And then Aegon, Elena, unknown daughter, Magon, Ares, unknown child, uh Alex, I guess, Balon and Damien, and then Valena, Valarian, Arian, and then yeah, on to Aegon. So on and so on and so on.
And on it goes.
And so begot so and so begot so and so begot so and so. Yeah. So Harwin Strong, rumored to be biological father. No duh. Anyway,
Uh, I think that was most of what I wanted to talk about. Did
so
you
that was all of my notes too, man.
have anything else?
Nothing I can think of, man. It's gonna be interesting to see what uh what we get into here. Kind of craziness we about to get into, Josh.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yep. Yeah, should be good, man. Should be good. Holy
All
crap, that's a
right.
lot of people.
Well,
Oh
before
my
we
god.
get too deep into the family tree there, let's uh let's get on out of here, shall we? Next Sunday night is the beginning of House of the Dragon season 2. And honestly, Curtis, I'm gonna speak for both of us right now. We just could not be more excited. Make sure
That's my excitement.
make sure to join us on Mondays when we drop our post episode reactions. And maybe if there's enough love for it, we could do a live stream on Sunday night post the episode. It would just be our regular episode, but live.
Love us, please. Love us.
Give us some love, you'll get it. So make sure to follow us on YouTube at Is Survived by Productions. Like the video and comment the word stream to get those live streams on Sunday nights after the episode with our immediate reactions. YouTube is where you can also find all of our other shows, like the History of the Chorus podcast, where each week we talk about different band from a chorus genre, and the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast, where you can get even more content on those bands. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which covers each episode of the Peaky Blinders and soon the long-awaited movie. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Is Survived by Productions to keep up with all the latest episode news and posts from all of our shows. We'll see you guys next week. And remember, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.